Welcome to another hobby repair video. I'm going to be trying to repair this monitor. It's the one I use in the workshop. It tends to pop up the menu in the middle of the screen all the time. I've got a little plastic G-clamp screwed onto the buttons. That seemed to stop it from happening. I'd like to fix it properly so that I can actually use the buttons on the front. So that's been on my list, but one thing I came across recently that appealed to me was the idea of converting it into like a fake skylight to bring a bit of extra light into one of the rooms in my house. So I'm going to take it apart and see if I can either fix it or turn it into a skylight. Let's take it apart and see where we get to. Here it is. Not really going to fit in any of my cameras, but I will make it work. Alright, there's a couple of screws there holding the stand on. Seems straightforward so far. I have actually taken this apart before, but it was a while ago. Push that. What's this? There we go. That was neat, but I don't think it did anything for us. I might just start spudging. Alright. Ugly pry marks in here because last time I opened it. How about spudges? Definitely some wildlife back there. Sounds like it's eating the back of my pegboard. Can't taste good. Don't know. It's a mystery. So, it's a tomorrow problem, not an after midnight problem. Speaker grill out. I've got the bottom and both sides undone. I've lost one of my cameras. I'm going to take this off and have a look inside. This is the inside of the back of the monitor. You can see the side closest to me is the bottom of the monitor. And here's the little circuit board on the back of the buttons. So I think the existing fault is probably here somewhere. So I might take that circuit board off and do some checking with the multimeter to see if I can spot any issues with it. Last time I looked, I couldn't see anything wrong, but I had even less of an idea what I was doing back then. I'm being a bit heavy-handed, but it's because this monitor is very old and already kind of broken. And it's a good thing because I just totally broke one of the speaker connectors off. What not to do. Easier when you do it properly. Okay, properly is a bit of a stretch. So yeah, those are the buttons that don't work. Here are the buttons on the circuit board that correspond. So these are being pressed randomly even though they're not actually being pressed. Which seems to me like some sort of a connection issue on this board. I took it out last time and gave it a clean. Couldn't find any problems, but I can do a slightly deeper check this time hopefully and see if the buttons are actually functioning like buttons and that kind of thing. My multimeter in continuity mode. Which means if 2 points in the circuit are connected and electricity can flow between them, it will beep. Let's see. Let's check. These two are joined on the board. So you get a beep. These two apparently are joined. These two are not. So I think it's testing it top to bottom. Yeah, so where it says SW 104, 105, 102, 101, those are the buttons. And there's 4 little solder points around each of those labels. There's 5, but you could ignore the 5th one. And I'm checking the connectivity from the top 2 to the bottom 2 when the button is pressed and when the button is not pressed. Alright, so no beep. And I'm checking this switch. I need to try and hold it and test it at the same time, which is going to be tricky. Behaves like a normal switch. No beep when it's not pressed. Slightly dodgy beep when it is pressed. It could be the way I'm using the probes, or it could be a sign there's a bad connection in the switch. I'm testing on the other side of the same switch. Seems pretty well fine. Wiggle the board around. Still doesn't beep when it's not pressed. That one doesn't seem to be working. Not what I was expecting though, where it would act as if it was pressed sometimes when it wasn't. Actually not being pressed at all. So that's interesting. Testing it from this side. Should have been doing that all along. I was like, why is that beeping? I'm touching opposite sides of the button and it's not pressed. Yeah, I was shortening it out on the bit of metal underneath. Really shouldn't be doing this on top of a big piece of conductive metal. Put it over a dent, so that's not happening. Oh. It's kind of working from these two pins. This one, SW101, not quite behaving the way I expect. It doesn't really line up with the symptoms that I see when it's all assembled. There's another button there I didn't check. Reading as if it's pressed all the time. The back, even when it's pressed, doesn't work. So, testing from on top, pressing the button does nothing. Yeah, a couple of suspect switches, but I'm not convinced that those are the problem. I've done some research on YouTube, which I didn't film, but the videos I watched that were useful, I will link in the description. The last time I was looking at this, I went off on a bit of a tangent down a rabbit hole into the internal electronics, thinking there might be something there that was causing it, but having now done some research, this is a thing that happens to monitors fairly often, where the buttons just start going a bit haywire. So there are a few fixes that were mentioned in those videos. Get rid of the buttons, resolder bad solder connections, replace bad buttons. The fourth one, which I'm going to try first, so I don't know why I said it last. The contacts can just be dirty. Like the contacts inside these push buttons can just accrue filth and stop working properly. And I've had success cleaning buttons and adjustment knobs before in other repairs, so I don't know why I didn't think to do it here, but I'm reasonably hopeful that that will sort it out. So I might use the contact cleaner on all the buttons and work it through a bit by mashing the buttons, and then redo the multimeter test and see whether those two are still suspicious and don't seem to be working, or if they all seem to work properly after that. And if I see any change, or maybe even if I don't see any change, then I'll reassemble it, see whether I fixed the problem, because I am quite hopeful that the contact cleaner will sort it out. I think I'll wear eye protection for this because this stuff comes out quite fast. It can squirt you in the eye. Believe it or not, these are my less stupid looking goggles. I'll save the others for a future video. Alright, I'm going to try and sort of shoot this down alongside the black center of the button. Ooh. Just mash the button a whole lot. Alright, given those buttons a thorough clean. I get out my multimeter and see the behavior on 103, I think it was 101, is any different. Continuity mode again, so it should beep when I press the switch. It shouldn't beep when I haven't pressed the switch. No beep. It's much more consistent than it was before, I think. I'll just try it from the other side in case that's what I was doing before. Works fine from the back too. Alright, now I'll try 101. Nothing when it's not pressed. Nice solid beep as soon as I do press it. So that one seems to be working now as well. Yep, works fine from the back. So that's a promising indication that the cleaning did actually fix the problem. In which case, I should be able to put this back together, assuming I haven't inadvertently destroyed it along the way. And that's right, I did destroy the speaker. Whoops. Guess I'll have to repair that, but that aside, hopefully I can put it all back together and it will actually work. I'm going to guess that the middle hole doesn't need one, and it might be one of the exterior screws that goes through there. Speaker that I didn't break. The fact that I'm bothering to like reassemble this fully is definitely overconfidence. I should be putting it together the minimum amount required in order to test it. Huh. Loose cable. Assumed it would plug in on the top, but it plugs in underneath. So now all that's left is to fix the speaker connection that I broke. And to reinstall that speaker, then put the back cover on with the speaker grill, and then test it. Though it would probably be smart for me to test it now, but I feel like I owe it to this little speaker to fix it regardless. So, truth be told, I'm not actually sure how to fix this. So I was trying to find another connector the same so that I could just join the wires rather than having to try and redo the actual connector, which I didn't know how to do. But I thought I don't want to be using other parts if I don't need to use other parts. So why don't I just cut the connector off and just solder the wires directly onto the board where the other side of the connector is. Not very elegant, not particularly maintainable, but for a device this old, I think it would be fine. But I thought that maybe I should see if there's a way to fix what I've done without requiring any other parts and without degrading the quality of the design of the device. So I did what I always do and looked it up on the internet. It turns out you can do it. This connector has two wires going through it. Those two metal spots stop the cables being pulled out of the connector. And what I want to do is pull the cable out of the connector because I need to resolder the metal bit. So if I push down on those little metal spots, I should be able to pull the cables out. Bit of a mess. Little metal bit on the side that snapped off. And try and poke into that metal bit and bend down the flap so that metal bit can slide out. Success. To flatten that tab, I had to put the connector down on the bench and just push really hard down on it with the spiky tweezers. The metal piece that came out of the white connector. See the little red bit hanging out one end where it snapped off. You can see it spread open a bit. Spread the bit crimping the insulation a lot further. I've used a pair of pliers to just pull that red insulation off. So the middle crimp's still crimped. It's still got the old wire in there. There's no insulation in the way, so what I'll probably do is just solder a newly stripped section of the red wire straight on top of that and then re-crimp around the insulation. And that should be plenty secure if I can do it without stuffing something up. The wire in, grabs on one side, grabs on the other side, it pulls. And you've got, there it is. Alright, so I'm lining up the red insulation with the bit that's going to crimp onto the red insulation and trying to cut the actual wire. I'm wondering if I can crimp it first and solder it second. I feel like that's probably a stupid idea, but I can't think why. I'm just going to try and squeeze it shut again with pliers. and hope for the best. But dropping the part. Classic. Alright. Alright, the wire's where I want it to be. And now the whole part has fallen off the end of the wall. Oh my gosh. Squish. In place. Need to try and push that little metal flat back up. Just trying using a little tool you get with your phone for ejecting your SIM card tray. A little metal spike at the handle. Oops, bent the tool. Maybe I've lifted it up enough to get away with it. Yeah, so I'm ready to solder this little red thing. Got it sitting in my helping hands here. Got my heatproof glove on. I'm going to put my extremely stylish soldering goggles on. Please excuse the hilariously stupid flaps of alfoil I've got here. If I'm doing a lot of soldering, then my face tends to react to the heat. I feel like this helps subjectively, but objectively it looks stupid, so bear with me. Alright, soldering done. I've got a bit of solder on the metal, on the outside of the metal bit, which might stop it from fitting back into the white connector, so I tried to take that off. And try pushing it the rest of the way with a screwdriver. It's not immediately pulling out, so that might work. So like it's ugly. Hopefully it's functional. Alright, both speakers are back in, circuit board's back in, buttons were cleaned. Again, it would be smart to test it now. I think I'll put the back on just to set myself up for the most painful humiliation possible when it still doesn't work. Alright, speaker grill's in place. I have destroyed 2 clips. I think one of them I destroyed the first time I opened this monitor. The second one, I do it this time. 2 out of 15. Not bad, should still hold together. The 2 that are broken are down the bottom where most of the screws are, so I think it'll be fine. I just knocked it over instead of picking it up. Alright. Well, these clips were so annoying. I don't know if I can bring myself to re-clip it all without testing it. It's a very stupid idea. I'm reasonably confident. I think maybe I'll just fully reassemble it and then test it. Just so much asking for devastating disappointment, but anyway. Sometimes you can help people by demonstrating what not to do. Seem to have significantly more screw holes left than screws. It should be enough to hold it together for a test. It's not a good test of the button because I don't have all the screws in there properly, so the case is not shut fully, but power button works. Green works. Oh, it's receiving input. The image is not scaled correctly. I don't think that'd be related to anything I've done, but maybe. Menu, image, color, input, system. Blended is the one that was busted, and I think it's one of the ones that didn't test well with the multimeter. Oh, yeah, Splendid is the one that was always being pressed constantly before. So if I press menu, it should go away and not come back. It's a definite improvement. It seems to only be pressing when I'm pressing it, which is what I want. I think that fix actually worked. Alright, I may have broken it in another way by the fact that it's sort of off to one side. Screen reset fixed. Lovely. I'm wondering if I can test the audio to see if my dodgy speaker fix actually worked. And ice on the speakers. It's a shame. Back on the good news. Button problem solved with the bit of contact cleaner. Not surprising, but very pleasing. That was the easiest, probably, out of all the options for what might have fixed it. So I'm very glad that it did. And then we're still missing, I think, at least 2 other screws, and I have no idea where they've gone. Yeah, unfortunately, the speakers aren't working. Oh, I just realized I was plugged into the headphone jack instead of the audio in. A dingus. So, I haven't technically tested it yet. It might work fine. It's good to know. All right. I see 2 screws. Yes. When I took this back cover off the screen and put it down over there, a couple of screws fell out of it. Audio cable into the right input. Always fun just wanting to test audio and having to think about what's going to get you a copyright strike for playing 10 seconds off. All right, power on. Works. Will they both work is the question. Oh, I went to sleep because nothing was plugged into it. Can I wake it up again? I'm 90% sure that that's playing out of both speakers. 100% functional monitor. I'm very happy with that. That means I can put this one away. By away, I mean put it back in service behind me. Now without the little red clamp sticking off the front. That was a big old tangent. Now we're going to get back to the thing I actually set out to do, which was making the fake skylight. Say it's a mystery. There's definitely a mouse up there, but I can't find it now.